gang, welcome back to Tin Man Customs. On this project we're gonna get to dealing with one of these little guys here. In the Titans Return line, for anyone that doesn't know, they're all little headmaster guys, little robot that turns into the head of the main Transformer character. Hasbro also has little Titanmaster guys who come individually packed. His little robot with his little vehicle, and they also turn into little robots. They just don't have bodies, which gives parents an affordable way to purchase a new head in case the kid loses their little head off of their figure. Now, for collectors like myself, we recognize that Hasbro has made these guys as homages to original figures, and this guy is Loudmouth in Titans Return, who's actually an homage of the Headmaster G1 Siren. So we're going to make this guy a body to make him Siren. So I've got an extra Breakaway figure that I'm going to use since he turns into a car as well as this guy does. So he's a nice light color, so he'll be easy to repaint. So sorry, Breakaway, your head will be used elsewhere. So we're going to do that, and I think since I've already got Breakaway on the shelf, we'll break his look up a little bit more by using Highbrow's guns, who Highbrow was just repainted into Skyfall recently, so I'll put a link in that in the description if you want to check that character out. Didn't end up using his guns, so we'll use his guns here. And so we're going to do a repaint of him, and I ordered off of reprolabels.com on toyhacks.com. They have reproduction labels for this figure here, but I believe I can modify these somewhat to fit on this guy, so he'll have some of his details on him. Now, they don't have, on the reproduction labels, don't have a nice giant label with the stripes for the hood of the car, so I think I have some leftover labels, reproduction labels. Always hang on to your leftover labels, because you never know when you're going to use them on another custom. But I believe I can use these red pinstripes all along his hood and get something that's pretty close to this guy, or so I hope. I also think this figure will work well because most of his robot form here is all hidden inside the vehicle mode, so I'll be able to get all of this nice blue here but still have a gray vehicle like the original figure turns into a gray vehicle with red windshield windows on him. This guy already has red windows, translucent red windows and painted on red windows, so we'll just mask those off and get painting. So first step is going to be getting this guy taken apart and washed up. Alrighty, so we've got this guy all dismantled, he's been washed, he's ready for masking and on to painting, spray painting. So one of my co-workers had recently looked over one of my customs and was asking how I mask things off, and I told him I used paint tape, and he said I really needed to work on sharpening up the lines. He suggested that using something called liquid masking film. I've never heard of this before, but ran over to the hobby shop to grab a bottle to try out. It's kind of pricey. It was $7 for a small bottle. They had a giant bottle, but I wanted to try it first with a small bottle, and the guy at the shop said that I need to put down 4 thin coats over what I wanted to mask off, let that dry. He uses a hair dryer because he doesn't have the patience to wait for several hours, so I will be using a hair dryer. And then going back over, once it's dry, you can kind of cut into it'll be a clear rubbery film over the figure, and you'll be able to cut in anywhere you want to uncover to spray. So I'm going to give that a shot with this guy. I'm not sure how it's going to work. So, you know, always trying something new with these things. But I just wanted to give a brief overview of what I was going to do, because I'm going to put a bunch of this all in fast forward, so you're not sitting there for hours watching this video. So real quick, these guns are from Highbrow. I've already removed this handle off of him, because I'm going to have this be the grip for the weapon. I may even cut that off, so it's more of a flush gun for this guy. There's the original rifle. So I'm not going to make it look exactly like that, but it's a little more streamlined like that. So that cut right off really well. I will be masking some of these bits and pieces off with tape still, because the line work isn't going to make as big a difference. Like along for the windshields, I'm definitely going to try this liquid stuff, because I want these lines to be really nice and straight for the windshield all the way across there. Now, for these bits in here, I'm probably just going to mask off with tape, because they're going to be hidden inside here while I'm spraying, because we're going to hit all of this with gray, and the front of this with gray. So that should be fine. I would probably tape off the inside of the windshield as well. That would work just fine. A lot of bits are going to be hand painted. Anything that's going to be black, like the upper legs, I'm going to take those off and hand paint them black. Hands are going to be hand painted black. Bits and pieces on his arm and chest will all be using the blue spray that I've got, so those will have to be masked off using the liquid masking. Let's see, what else am I gonna do? This forms his chest, and this piece fits in here, and that bit twists a lot, so I'm gonna sand this down before putting the spray paint on to help minimize any scratching that's going to be going on once that's painted, because this bit will get painted as well. His cod piece in this figure is a lighter blue, and that's what I've got as a spray paint. It's a lighter blue. So, but I'll be taping off the ball joints, as well as taping off these bits here, as that's where the little tires snap in. So I want that still to be as smooth for rolling purposes. I'll probably take this off as well, and probably that, just because it doesn't need any clean line work for that. So that's generally what I'm going to do. When I'm planning on how I'm going to paint or what I'm going to paint, I like to have the mold I'm working with assembled, so you can kind of compare, because once it's apart, you're kind of like, will this show? So, but you can quickly look and say, yeah, I need to put some color there. So, always a good idea to have that out. One more thing I'm going to do, on the original figure, he had a light bar, because he's an emergency vehicle, so he needs a light bar. I have a Junker barricade from the movie line. He has a nice emergency light bar, which just goes on with a couple screws. That's going to be real easy to take off and fit on the roof of that. I am going to have to cut this down the middle though, so that might be a little tricky, because this is just translucent plastic, so it may be a little more brittle than the regular plastic. So we'll find out. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and skip this into fast forward. So let this stuff dry, let the liquid max dry, and ended up just scoring along the lines here in between the white and the red, and then peeled it away, just barely touching it with the blade, and it all peeled away like a thin film. And did that all the way around, scraped it with my thumb there to get any excess off. So as far as I know, this is all covered here with that liquid mask. So rest of him's all taped up and ready to go. So we're gonna spray paint him and see if this stuff works. Alright gang, let's take a look at how Siren turned out. And here he is in his vehicle mode with their respective headmaster figures. I ended up repainting him head to toe, and you only ended up using a few of the decals from this figure here. Ended up putting one of the side panel stickers on his hood, and that was because the more I looked at these arms, or the side door panels here, I didn't think the sticker was going to lay. Even piecing it up, I didn't think would look correct on there. So I ended up just leaving that off. I still have the stickers here for Fire Chief that I might try and cut up and put on the back fender there, but I don't think it's going to lay correctly. I just think the length of the Fire Chief words and stuff are not going to fit that area, so I left that off. But the light bar ended up working just fine. I took that off of the movie barricade figure. So that bar ended up just drilling through there and using the screws that were using the screws that came on the barricade figure. They just fit in there. I thought I was going to have to super glue the connection point together there, but they seem to hold just fine. And by leaving them unglued, I can twist those if I need to during any kind of transformation. So he fits in there just fine. Let's go ahead and get these guys transformed into robot mode. robot mode there together. I ended up, for weapons for my version, ended up taking the blasters from the Highbrow mold and trimmed the handles off and painted over that with the gunmetal gray and trimmed up these parts so he can hold on to them. These little wheels here on the molded in here will fit into these ports in vehicle mode, so he can have rifles on the side of his vehicle, much like these were mounted on the hood on this version. I'll show that in some pictures afterwards. I used a couple of the decals from this set here. Had to trim those to kind of fit the shape of the molding, and painted in some of these red stripes here to emulate this, even though that's not his hood, and painted all the blue, painted his face a light blue, lighter blue than what was originally on him to match that. All right, so I'm really pleased with the way this guy turned out. I was really, he's another figure ever since the Titanmasters came out without a body to go with them. He's one that I really wanted to put together, and like I said, I'm pretty pleased with how he turned out. He transforms very well without tearing up too much. It never feels like you're going to mess up the paint job, which is always a plus. Now, earlier in the video, I tried some of this liquid masking film. So that was a coworker had suggested that I try this, and I used it in a few spots here. I ended up using it for the red windshield and the red paint here that was already there. The film went on great, and it was a nice rubbery consistency. It was really easy to cut along the line, peel off what you wanted, so it kept the line very well. The only problem I ran into was when I peeled off the layer of mask that was covering the color that I wanted to keep. It peeled a lot of that color off and also pulled a lot of the red off of the windshield, which I thought the plastic here was molded in the red. I was rather surprised that it peeled the color off of that. So on that windshield, I just used my translucent red paint that I had left over from another custom, and that fixed that up just fine, and just had to repaint all this red stuff, which again, it's fine because then it matches the other red spots that I added. Painted some silver in here to try and match up with that emergency sticker that was in silver. I don't know how well that shows off on camera, but it probably, on camera, it looks like it matches pretty well. You can see a tiny bit of a seam there. All in all, I think he turned out pretty well. Pretty pleased with him, and can't wait to get him put on the shelf with the other Headmaster figures, Headmaster Juniors. Here is one more look of what we started with. Here was the Breakaway mold, and so there he is. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a like. Go ahead and give me some comments or feedback there. Maybe you've used some of that masking film and know of a better way to deal with it so it doesn't peel off the paint you want to keep underneath it. And if you really like what you see, go ahead and hit subscribe. I've got plenty of other projects on the way. Well, I'm actually moving into the third Headmaster Jr, which will be Hosehead, and hope to have him done in another week or so. And thanks for coming along, and see you in the next video.